Every time you share a secret or a plan, you are handing someone else the key to your house. Your words are your currency. Are you spending them on gossip or investing them in your future? In the heart of the great market, two merchants lived side by side. One was known for his stories, the other for his silence. The talkative shopkeeper was always surrounded by a laughing crowd, eager to hear the latest rumors and his grand future plans. Across the street, the silent merchant stood calmly. He listened more than he spoke, his eyes observing everything while his lips remained sealed. While the storyteller was loved for his entertainment, he was building his house on sand. Every detail shared was a brick removed from his walls. One evening, the talkative shopkeeper opened his cash box, only to find it nearly empty despite a day of heavy traffic. His words had fled like gold coins. By telling everyone his goals, he had already spent the satisfaction of achieving them. Meanwhile, in the shadows of his back room, the silent merchant secured a heavy, locked chest. His wealth grew in the absence of noise. A thief, draped in a dark cloak, approached the talker. He offered a drink and a listening ear, asking about the merchant's great wealth. Eager to impress, the shopkeeper leaned in. He whispered of his shipments, his hidden reserves, and his vulnerabilities, thinking he had found a friend. The thief then tried the same with the silent merchant. He asked probing questions, seeking a crack in the merchant's armor of privacy, but he found nothing. The merchant's silence was an impenetrable fortress. No secret was spilled, no weakness revealed. By dawn, the talkative shopkeeper's store was ransacked. He had given the thief the map to his treasure through his own stories, but the silent merchant's shop remained untouched. The thief knew nothing of what lay inside, and so he dared not enter. Remember, words are like arrows. Once they leave the bow, you cannot call them back. They will hit their mark, for better or worse. Before you speak, use the 3-sieve filter. Ask yourself, is it true? Is it kind? And most importantly, is it necessary? Privacy is not about having something to hide. It is about having something to protect. Your peace is worth more than a moment of attention. The power of silence is the power of self-mastery. Choose your confidants wisely, and your words even more so. Subscribe for more lessons on silent power and the path to true wisdom. Protect your future by mastering your tongue. We live in the loudest age in history, yet we have never been more afraid of the silence that follows. True power isn't found in the noise of the world, but in the stillness of the self. Compare this to our modern reality. We are tethered to a digital heartbeat that never stops pulsing. Every notification is a demand for our attention, leaving us drained and disconnected from our own thoughts. Even the greatest rulers struggle with this. Our king once surrounded himself with distraction to escape the void. He sought noise to drown out the questions he wasn't ready to answer. But when the music stopped and the lights faded, the silence felt like a heavy shroud. He realized that to find himself, he had to leave the palace behind and face the quiet head-on. Deep in the heart of nature, he sought the wisdom of one who had mastered the art of being alone. There, outside a humble cave, sat the hermit. He was a man who owned nothing, yet possessed everything. The first day was a battle. Without the noise of the court, the king's mind became a storm of anxiety. He wanted to run back to the noise. Boredom felt like physical pain. But as the second day dawned, something changed. The mental mud began to settle, leaving only clarity. He began to hear the world again. The wind in the leaves, the rhythm of his own breath. He returned to his kingdom not as a man running from silence, but as one who commanded it. The throne was still there, but the man sitting upon it was transformed. He no longer feared the empty hall. To reclaim your own focus, you must implement the analog hour. 1 hour every day with no screens, just you and your thoughts. Write, reflect, or simply be. In this hour, you are the king of your own inner realm. Don't be afraid to face yourself. For in the depths of silence, you will find the strength you've been looking for. The empty throne isn't a sign of loneliness. It is the ultimate seat of power. Step into your silence. Have you ever felt like you're performing? Like the person the world sees isn't really you at all, but a character you've carefully built. We spend so much energy trying to fit in, to be enough for others, that we eventually forget what our own voice sounds like. It's time for an authenticity audit. Let's peel back the layers and look at the cost of hiding your true strength. Imagine a young lion cub, separated from his pride and raised by a flock of sheep. From his earliest days, he learned that survival meant blending in, He watched the sheep eat grass, so he tried to do the same. But the taste was bitter, and his heart felt empty with every bite. When the others bleated in harmony, he tried to mimic them, but instead of a soft song, all that came out was a broken, stifled sound. What part of yourself are you hiding today? Are you silencing your own roar just to keep the peace in the meadow? As the years passed, the lion grew, but his spirit shrank. He lived in constant fear that the flock would see him for what he truly was. One day, driven by a restlessness he couldn't explain, he wandered far from the flock, climbing toward the high, quiet places of the world. He reached a hidden mountain lake, its surface as still as a sheet of glass, reflecting the vast, open sky above. As he leaned down to drink, he stopped. For the first time in his life, he didn't see a strange, distorted sheep. He saw the truth. A majestic mane, sharp eyes filled with ancient fire, and a frame built for power. He wasn't a mistake. He was a masterpiece. In that moment of reflection, the social anxiety that had gripped him for years began to dissolve. He finally knew who he was. But knowing the truth is only the first step. The real challenge is carrying that truth back into the world that expects you to be small. He returned to the meadow. He no longer wore the mask. He walked with a steady grace that the sheep had never seen before. They backed away, whispering. They pointed at his teeth and mocked his size. To the sheep, his authenticity looked like a threat. He felt a rising heat in his chest. It wasn't anger at them, but a fire of realization. He was never meant to belong here. He turned his back on the meadow and let out a roar that shook the earth and tore through the clouds, echoing across the entire valley. To be authentic is to accept that you might lose the approval of the flock, but in exchange, you gain the freedom of the mountains. Ask yourself, is my life aligned with my values? Am I living my truth, or am I just following the crowd? Consider your purpose, your truth, and your courage. You were not born to be a quiet observer of your own life. You were born to lead it. It's time to reclaim your roar. Don't let the pressure to conform silence the greatness within you. Subscribe to join us on this journey of rediscovery.